Cheers, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I am Dave Brown, and this is the New Populist. Well, we have an update to yesterday's New York Times article that claimed Ukrainian saboteurs blew up Nord Stream 2. Now, in a video I made, I pointed out that one of the authors is Adam Goldman, who was confronted by James O'Keefe, formerly of Project Veritas, in the past because he worked with the FBI in order to go after James O'Keefe. So this guy, this scumbag, and he works with U.S. intelligence to target other journalists, meaning that he's a person you do not want to trust and that U.S. intelligence might use to plant stories in the mainstream media. Now, of course, Seymour Hersh had his Substack article that pointed out the Biden administration was behind the bombing of Nord Stream 2. So the U.S. intelligence has been scrambling behind the scenes to come up with a plausible explanation that could take the heat off of them. And so they blamed Ukrainian saboteurs and at the same time took some heat off of Russia, which is what I pointed out yesterday, which I thought was interesting, was they're so desperate to get the blame off of the Biden administration and U.S. intelligence that they were willing in that process to also exonerate Russia to a certain extent or say there's no evidence that Russia was involved. Very interesting that they would clear Russia, somebody that they obviously hate dearly, but right now they're protecting their own skins. And so this update comes from German media reported by ABC News that they have more information on who blew up this pipeline. And the article is titled, Germany Cautious Over Nord Stream Pipeline Attack Reports. Germany's defense minister has voiced caution over media reports that a pro-Ukraine group was involved in blowing up the Nord Stream gas pipelines in the Baltic Sea last year. Germany's defense minister voiced caution Wednesday over media reports that a pro-Ukraine group was involved in blowing up the Nord Stream gas pipelines in the Baltic Sea last year. German daily newspaper, I can't pronounce this, Die Zeit, and public broadcasters ARD and SWR reported Tuesday that investigators were able to largely reconstruct how the pipelines from Russia to Germany were sabotaged on the night of September 26, 2022. Citing multiple unnamed officials, the news outlets reported that 5 men and a woman used a yacht hired by a Ukrainian-owned company in Poland to carry out the attack. German federal prosecutors confirmed that a boat was searched in January. So this is starting to seem like a James Bond movie, Spectre, this organization or this group of people. They got the yacht. There's even a woman involved. And they rented this yacht and they went out to destroy the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Let's continue with the article. The New York Times also reported Tuesday that U.S. officials reviewed intelligence that suggested a pro-Ukrainian group was behind the blast. The Ukrainian government has denied involvement. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said he read the news reports with great interest, but warned against drawing hasty conclusions. That might be smart considering this originated with U.S. intelligence. Of course, there's this parallel investigation by Germany and other countries, but yes, I would use caution and not draw hasty conclusions. We need to clarify. We need to clearly differentiate whether it was a Ukrainian group that acted on the orders of Ukraine or without the government's knowledge, he told reporters in Stockholm. Now, that's very important. They want to take the heat off the United States, but they don't want to implicate the Ukrainian government because that would, for public opinion's sake, be very bad and would undermine support for the war. So they got thread the needle here, walk that line. Don't blame the U.S., don't blame Russia, but don't blame Ukraine as well, although they are allegedly Ukrainian saboteurs. Speaking on the sidelines of a European Union defense ministers meeting, Pistorius said some experts also had raised the possibility of a so-called false flag operation by a group pretending to be Ukrainian. CIA. It would not be the first time in the history of such events, the German minister said. As such, I'm refraining from drawing premature conclusions. Yeah, again, false flag operations. Who does that? Who has a history of false flag operations? Not hard to figure out who might do that. And what I'm trying to figure out here is, how much does this German defense minister know? Is he part of a script he's playing here? Does he actually know what happened? Is he playing along? Or is he really in the dark and trying to be careful to not make himself look like an idiot? I'm not 100% sure on that. Asked whether the reports could undermine Western support for Ukraine, Pistorius said he preferred to respond once he had reliable information. Anything else is hypothetical, he added. Ukrainian Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov rejected suggestions that the attack might have been ordered by Kiev. It's like a compliment for our special forces, but this is not our activity, he told reporters in Stockholm. Again, got to clear the Ukrainians. They can't be involved. It has to be a group that did something in the benefit of Ukraine, in the benefit of the United States, that hurt Russia, but had no connection to any of these governments. According to the German media reports, the suspects used forged passports when hiring the boat, which set off from the German port of Rostock. A captain, 2 divers, 2 diving assistants, and a doctor made up the group, ARD reported. Germany's federal prosecutor's office declined to comment directly on the reports, but it is confirmed that investigators conducted a search from January 18th through January 20th in connection with a suspicious boat hire. There is a suspicion that the boat in question could have been to transport explosive devices that exploded on September 26, 2022, on the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipeline, the prosecutor's office said in an email to the Associated Press. The evaluation of these seized traces and objects is ongoing. The identity of the perpetrators and their motives are the subject of ongoing investigations, it added. At present, it is not possible to make any reliable statements on this, in particular on the question of state control. In the course of the further investigation, all leads to clarify the facts of the case will be pursued, prosecutors said. There are no grounds for suspecting employees of the German company that leased the ship. Now, further on in the article, it said that White House National Security spokesman John Kirby declined to comment, citing the investigation being ongoing. He said, we need to let these investigations conclude, Kirby said, and only then should we be looking for at what follow on actions might or may not be appropriate. Let me interpret what he said there. He's saying we need to let this run out and shape this narrative because we need to deflect blame from the United States and our allies. That's what's happening here. Now, looking at this article and looking how they're trying to, again, shape this narrative, the question is, according to Seymour Hersh's article, it was divers that were trained in the United States. The CIA was involved. But as far as who the actual individuals were is the question here. And of course, if you're crafting a narrative like they're clearly doing here, you take, they're very good at making it, staying on those edges. They'll say it wasn't a Navy diver, but what they might leave out is the Navy diver trained that individual for a very long time, and we knew exactly who he was, and he was working on behalf of the United States government. So they're very good at having these half-truths there to help them give legitimacy to their shaped narrative. And we've seen this over and over again with the CIA in their activities over the last several decades. So I don't think anybody, even Seymour Hersh, can conclusively say with 100% certainty it was this person, the CIA, and these individuals. But we know they were involved, and we're getting clues now on how they think they want to sell this to the public. Or this whole thing is an outright lie. And based on the fact that we have the general public believing that the coronavirus came because people were eating bats in Wuhan, tells you that it is entirely possible that the intelligence community can just make something up that's completely bogus in order to cover their asses. But the problem here, I think, is that there are potentially so many moving pieces that it would be dangerous for them to go that route. It would be better, again, and the CIA is good at this, telling half-truths in order to cover the full truth. So in all likelihood, what happened was the CIA used people, not directly working for the U.S. government or the military, to do the activities on their behalf. And therefore, they can plausibly say, we didn't do it. We know exactly who did it because we told them to do it, but we didn't do it. So these Ukrainian saboteurs, if they actually exist, were clearly working on behalf of Western intelligence. And again, the CIA will do this, keeping in mind that at some point they have to explain themselves, and they have to be able to craft a narrative that they could plausibly sell to the public that could make sense. And that's what we're seeing now. And my only last question here is, what is the participation by the European governments, Norway, Poland, Germany? Do they know what happened? Do they know it was the CIA? And if so, are they participating in this cover-up? Because blowing up this pipeline was everything that the West wanted. It helped Ukraine, helped the United States, it helped Norway, helped Poland. It did hurt Germany, but again, this is what they wanted, and so convenient that this would happen. So my guess is that they were in on it at some level, or if they have their suspicions, they'll keep quiet and play the game and go along with the fairy tale because it is what's beneficial or what the Western governments want. So if the only person hurt here was Russia and some German consumers who got paid more for gas, well, so be it. They can suffer. That's how our globalists think. So we'll keep monitoring the news to see how they evolve the story and what comes out. For the record, Seymour Hersh said, I paraphrase here, that these stories are completely ridiculous and it's nonsense. And I'm inclined to believe what he said. Well, that's it for now. If you are new to this channel, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.